goodness. Technical difficulties. Good morning. This is Amber.
And this is Tom.
And this is something to celebrate.
Yes.
And today we're celebrating a homecoming.
Yes. Welcome home, Seth.
Welcome home. It's been a fun week coming home, hasn't it, honey?
Yes, it hasn't been very long though. It's been fun though.
Yeah. A little bit warmer than Chicago.
Yes.
A
But
little.
the dog is shivering.
The dog is shivering. The dog,
So
Bridget is shivering. I think that's her normal posture of shivering.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely gotten a lot chillier. A little bit of chilly
has.
gotten in the air, and stormy. Were you guys okay in the storm?
Well, I was out at in Kirbyville at Prayer Mountain when the storm hit.
Yeah.
We had just moved equipment out there for the big. We had a big tent meeting out there yesterday. The only problem was the storm damaged the tent, so we had to move like 1,000 chairs out of the tent into the sunshine, so to speak.
We had to step
We had
them
no
in the
power,
sunshine.
so all the music. We had the Homestead Pickers were there from Silver Dollar City doing music for about an hour ahead of time, so we had to set up generators for
Wow.
sound and cameras and all that good stuff. So yeah, it was an interesting evening.
Yeah, I think a lot of tents would get it blown away from the.
And the blew trees down, so we were on our way back to the hotel, and we had to turn around because we kept moving trees off the road, getting out of the car in the rain, moving trees, and then finally we found one that was so big that we couldn't move it. So
Wow.
we had to turn around and find another way to get back
Yeah.
to the hotel.
Well, we're just thankful that I know that there's some people who got some damage, but out in Dallas it was pretty severe out there, and prayers for everybody out there, and it can be a weird time of year for
Yes.
fall tornadoes. You never hear of winter tornadoes. It just depends where you are. It's a beautiful place to live in the tornado alley.
Yeah, yeah.
You never know where it's going to hit. But we have a word of the day.
Yeah, this is a fun word.
Mm-hmm.
The word of the day is Abendrot, and it is the color of the sky when the sun is setting.
Wow.
And that word comes from two German words. Abend means evening, and Rot is the German word for red. So
Ooh.
it literally means evening red. So that has become the term for the color of the sky as the sun is beginning to set.
Wow. Have you ever heard of the red sky in the morning, shepherd's warning, and the red sky at night, shepherd's delight?
Yep.
That's I remember I always say that when I see it. I'm like, we must be getting a storm.
Yep.
That's all. So we have a natural solution.
Yes, liver cleanse. If you feel lethargic, bloated, or have weight gain, if you have low functioning immune system, upset digestive system, insomnia, emotional outbursts, if so, you may need a liver support supplement. Liver cleanse is designed to support the body and rid the liver of irritants. The amazing liver can function with up to 75% of it diseased or missing, but won't do as good a job of eliminating toxins. But Liver Cleanse is made from various herbs that support liver and kidneys. These capsules don't contain any artificial ingredients or common allergens. You don't want to put toxins in your body when you're trying to get rid of toxins.
Yes.
With Liver Cleanse, you should gradually feel an increase in energy, better overall health, and improved mental clarity. Liver Cleanse will help bring your liver back into balance by providing effective cleansing and aids to restore nutrients that have been depleted. And you can get your Liver Cleanse from www.naturalsolutionstore.bz.
Wow, that's awesome. And we are celebrating the month of October. Besides Oktoberfest, have you had any good sausage this?
No, not yet.
We've been loving the Oktoberfest pasties over at London Calling. They're doing an Oktoberfest pasty. And what else are we celebrating for the month of October?
Well, for the month, and since we're talking about Abendrot, German American Heritage Month, National Apple Month, National Chili Month, National Cookie Month, And
Yes.
probably most in, and in honor of SAF celebrating the Bilingual Child Month. We're so proud of her bilingual abilities. And today, October 22nd, is Clean Up the Earth Day.
Oh, wow.
It's National Color Day, National Nut Day, and again, in honor of SAF, Smart is Cool Day.
Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And Eat a Pretzel Day.
I think we should do a one-up, clean up the earth, and do a clean up your room day.
Now
So
that would work.
That would work for moms everywhere.
It all starts at home, Saf. Okay? It all starts in the dorm room.
Now she has to clean up her dorm room.
Today, back in on this date, back in 1779, another crazy French person did a crazy thing. The first person to jump with a parachute. So French
Wow.
balloonists, remember we talked about
Yeah.
the first balloon went in the air a week ago,
Yes.
back in the 1700s. André Jacques Garnerin jumped out of a balloon over Parc Monceau in Paris using a silk parachute that he made himself.
I don't think I would want to be the first one to try out that theory.
No. How do you make that happen? It feels like, But,
so we're going to take it one step further this week.
yeah. And birthdays today. Toby Mac was born on this date,
Oh.
1964.
Wow.
An actor that I have enjoyed, Jeff Goldblum, was born in 1952. And Christopher Lloyd, especially, my connection with him is Back to the Future.
Yeah.
He was a
Christopher
crazy
Lloyd,
guy, crazy
The
professor,
professor.
born in 1938.
That's so cool. Yeah, we love Back to the Future.
Yes.
And it's so funny to see all the, the hoverboards. They thought that was a really big thing. The hoverboards.
Yep.
Now that they have the hoverboards, and for a while they just kept exploding. The exploding hoverboards. That was a one invention that kind of went wrong when we tried to take it out of the movies and implement it into everyday life.
Yep.
So exciting. Well, we have a Say Grace segment. Thank you, Gracie, for today. We've actually I've tried a new breakfast cafe downtown. Galleys Cafe, which is the original.
Oh, love Galleys.
Do you love that place?
I do.
It is the original Springfield drugstore. I love that has this kind of, it is the old vintage drugstore that was downtown, and they have some amazing breakfast food. We had some, did you have yesterday, Saf?
I had a skillet with, it had chorizo, queso, jalapenos, and salsa, and sunny side up eggs, and it was really good.
It was very, very, very good.
French toast. You like,
I love the.
you went crazy, I think, like after one bite.
Yeah,
it was too spicy.
It was a little bit too much for me, but Safi likes it spicy. I love their stuffed French toast. They had the stuffed French toast with mascarpone and marmalade. But I love breakfast. And I think it's because I was born in the breakfast cereal capital of the world. Some people don't know that. I was born in Battle Creek, Michigan, and the home of Kellogg's and Post. So part of our tasting today has to do with breakfast. And Matt, are you going to be in our breakfast tasting?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. So I'm going to pass out some plates because I might have to pass out some plates for breakfast. Okay, so the phenomenon of breakfast cereal, and I should know because being from the breakfast cereal capital of the world, is there's so many different kinds of breakfast cereals, and there is a phenomenon as of late of creating all these different breakfast cereals based on things that aren't supposed to be breakfast. So Matt, you're going to have to come over here for the first tasting. Get over here.
The volumes are on.
Okay, make sure the volume is on. Okay. So I think the very first one we're going to try here. Actually, I had to be. It's the breakfast cereal that's not based on breakfast cereals. This one is based on
Check 1, check 2. I can't even hardly hear. Oh, I know why we had that up.
Check 1, check 2. I had to do the big reveal.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No.
It's a different microphone.
No.
Microphone with that.
Okay, so this is the new breakfast cereal. And we should play song while we do this. This is the Baby Shark breakfast cereal.
No!
Baby Shark. Okay.
No!
I-
Terrible.
And I'm like, okay, so and then it says Mommy and Daddy Shark are back there, but the Baby Shark's right here.
It's a
so
terrible song.
It is a terrible song. There are so many. Here, I'm going to, actually, maybe I should just pass these, like, communion wafers. No, Bridget. And I, like, always wonder, like, do they just put the box, do they just put the cartoon on the box just because, there you go.
Well, what
Have
happens
some, have
is
some breakfast cereal.
you got kids in the cart going down the cereal aisle and they see Baby Shark. That's all they want.
Yes, take some. Take some Baby
See
Shark.
these look like Fruit Loops to me.
I know, exactly. There is no Baby Shark, but I wanted to see why you think this might be called Baby Shark. Of course.
Sound effects. We have our own little Foley table here.
Do you want some Baby Sharks?
No.
I've caught a Baby Shark when I lived in Panama City Beach.
Oh, wow. Did it go do 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 do?
No. That was before they learned vocabulary.
I don't know. It's called Berry Fantastic. Is it Berry Fantastic?
It tastes like Crunch Berries. It tastes like Fruit Loops. Not so much like Fruit
What do you
Loops,
think?
but more like Crunch Berries or something like that.
What do you think, Seth?
Yeah, I think it tastes like Crunch Berries as well. It smells like candy.
It
Like
smells
when
like
you
candy.
smell it, it smells different from how it tastes. Like
Yeah.
it's almost got this like
There's a lot of sugar in these.
Yeah, there is. There is.
yeah. Look at the
Sugar content?
It's like, no, you can't have ice
Side.
cream for breakfast, but I can give you, pure
Very
sugar and cereal. Or let's fry some cake and
I tried.
put syrup all over it.
So the Baby Shark, what does it say?
It says it has 15 grams of sugar
Per half cup.
per 1 1/3 cup.
Oh, 1 1/3 cup.
Okay.
So you can have more.
Man.
Yeah, you could have more. Okay, see, but Baby Shark. So that's the Very Fantastic. They probably could have made it better by actually putting some fins in it or something, some actually shark teeth or something.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that break your teeth if you tried to bite down on a shark tooth?
I don't know if that might have done. It may do.
What if they had like shark molds like for the marshmallows? Like
Yeah.
how Lucky Charms has the
None of these are
different shapes.
sponsors of the show, by the way. I would be remiss as the producer to not say that. This is a unofficial review of particular
Yes.
products.
Baby Shark Kellogg's. Okay, so speaking of ice cream for breakfast.
I'm glad you brought those because I thought about buying those just to try them.
Okay, so drumstick.
Sorry about the work going on right outside our window.
Oh, I thought that Jay was stuck in a room somewhere. Okay, so, yeah, the drumstick,
So basically,
Cereal.
it looks like
it's ice cream for breakfast.
this, ice cream is probably actually better for you than this is.
Yeah, it looks like Cocoa Puffs, Golden Grams, and like those little things that you
Cinnamon, like Golden Grams, yeah, and what is it?
Corn Pops?
Yeah,
Corn Pops.
They also look like those little corn puffs that you can like feed babies.
Oh yeah, the
Oh, yeah.
stuff that sticks to your tongue so you don't swallow it or inhale it rather.
And they're for the babies, yes.
But I used to eat them for fun.
Does
Like,
that taste like the vanilla part of the ice cream?
We're tasting it one little piece at a time. It definitely tastes like vanilla, but it tastes like vanilla cereal.
Cocoa Puffs?
That's a Cocoa Puff. That's what that is. Kellogg's owns all of these products that we're talking about.
So they're just mixing it up.
I think they own the Golden Grams too.
Yeah, Golden Grams.
Yep, those are Golden Grams.
So,
So yeah, we're running out of ideas. Sales are starting to slow down. What do we do? Take 3 of them, add them together, throw it on the shelf. That's what happens.
okay, so I have a rather unique one for the very last one, okay? And that's this one.
Sour Patch Kids. I was wondering how in the world what kind of sorcery it takes to make a breakfast cereal sour.
Have you ever had this? Have you seen it before?
I've seen it and thought, ooh,
Well, we're going to test that ooh theory
because
right
I love
now.
Sour Patch Kids, like real ones, who are also not a sponsor of the show, by the way.
But since this is post, it's akin to my upbringing in the fruits sugar capital.
So you say it's post upbringing?
Yeah, it's post upbringing. Kellogg's post.
They're
Did you
kind
know-
of like deformed Sour Patch Kids.
I know. I don't think they're real people.
Who in their right mind would put that in milk? I'm sorry.
Just
They
to
are-
tell us how you feel.
They are sour.
Yes.
And I realize a lot of people can't. Well, yeah, you guys can see me. I've got the zoomed back. That is, that's weird. That doesn't reflect on how you will like this particular post product.
Matt doesn't like it. And
Woman.
he tries anything.
No, by itself it'd be okay, but think about putting it in milk. Doesn't citric acid cause milk to curdle?
Yeah. Yeah. That's strange. Yeah.
So it probably does make the milk curdle a little bit. It's all of a sudden, hey, why does this taste like sour cream? Well, because now it is.
So what do you think, Saf?
It's interesting. They've got this like coating. I feel like it doesn't live up to the Sour Patch Kids because they're kind of like
They're not Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
They're not a gummy product.
Yeah, they really need to be kids. These look like dehydrated kids. Like when you put them in milk, they should like.
They should like swell them. The milk coagulates around them, becomes like a cocoon.
So, so this is your rating. What do you rate any of these? Would you actually eat any of these?
Yeah, I would eat the drumsticks and probably the baby sharks too.
The baby shark.
Yeah.
So, but the baby shark quite doesn't.
But
live
not
up to
real
its
baby
name.
sharks, just for all of you PETA people out there. Not real baby sharks.
Or not real kids.
Although shark meat is pretty tasty if it's fixed right. But there's no actual shark meat in this product that I'm aware of.
No sharks were injured in the manufacture.
Of the shark.
Right.
baby
I
shark.
just see a shark in a tie. Have we made the cereal yet?
I'm glad that they put on the name of the cereal. It says do 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 do.
It's basically saying what the cereal itself is.
Yeah.
Doo doo. I couldn't help myself. I could not. That was just a joke begging to be said. It's like, hey, let's put on there what's actually in it. They won't buy it. Yes, they will. That was the meeting between the marketing manager and the person that came up with the idea.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, and there's Matt, unfiltered.
Also,
Okay.
The views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the views and opinions expressed by or believed by Axe Media Group or any of its subordinates or
Oh.
affiliates.
Affiliates.
Whoa, you're making me cry.
Well,
Okay.
sorry about that.
Well, now how do we segue from that
I hope
into
that-
Pastor Marilyn?
Well, I can't help if they put the words doo-doo on the box. I can't help that I'm immature enough to think that's funny. But anyways, what Jay? Oh, it's doo-doo. They should be dun-dun. Dun-dun, not doo-doo. That's just too much. That's too crappy of a sales pitch.
Woo!
All right, so
Thank you.
now on that, I will leave you all. Thank you very much for the doo-doo. And, see y'all
Okay,
later.
I'm gonna try to keep it.
Jay, you
together
gonna
for
try
the
some
rest of
doo-doo? All right. Bye, everybody. You might want to move those boxes down off the...
And that was our producer, Matt Pearson.
Oh my gosh, literally, I think I'm gonna have to take. Woo! Thank you, Matt, for that.
You know, I do what I can. Thank you.
You made me cry.
Well, Pastor Marilyn's going to wonder what's going on.
Well, I will get Marilyn on the line here, and you might have to do this interview because I can't get the doo-doo.
Yeah, you just got the giggles going on right now.
Oh goodness, Pastor Marilyn, why don't you
Pastor Marilyn Coney.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Pastor Marilyn. This is Amber.
And this is Tom.
Welcome to Something to Celebrate.
How are you?
We're doing well. We just ate a bunch of breakfast cereal, so we're a little bit hyped up on sugar.
Yeah, we have a little food segment here, and some of us just got a little bit carried away.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Pastor Marilyn, just tell us a little bit. By the way,
Well,
this
there's
is,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah, we're online with Pastor Marilyn Coney, who pastors Faith United Methodist Church in Tiffin, Ohio. And my wife and I and my ministry partner JR first connected with her when she extended to us an invitation to minister in her church. At that time, she was pastoring in the church that my wife and I got married in.
Oh, wow.
Back in 1971. So just 3 years ago, we were doing a little ministry tour, and she invited us to come and speak. And boy, we just fell in love with this pastor so quickly. She gave us some great opportunities. So, Pastor Marilyn, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in ministry and how you got to be there in Tiffin, Ohio.
Well, I have to admit that I kind of came the circuitous route. It wasn't a direct line. I am what I tell people, second or maybe even a third career pastor. And I worked in industry for a while for General Motors, and at that time, towards the end of that time, I had some personal challenges, and I decided to leave General Motors, and I was in Michigan at the time. I worked out there about 10 or 11 years, and I came back to Ohio, and I went back to school and finally finished my degree, and I ended up working in social services, and I ended up in the drug and alcohol ministry field.
Wow.
I worked there for several years in different communities in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, and during that time, I was drawn back to the church. And actually worked with a few ministers in that ministry and prevention and treatment, and decided that one of the things I wanted to do was to look at the way we were treating. I knew that the spiritual aspect of recovery was very important, and so when I was in Columbus finishing my undergraduate degree, I decided, there was a seminary nearby that offered a graduate degree program in alcohol and drug abuse ministry. And so I decided that, and I say I decided, but I think it was the Lord's movement in my life, because He never tells me too much in advance, because I'm a runner. I'll go the opposite direction. And it was my pastor at the time. I was in a United Methodist Church, and I was working. I did a summer program for them for teenage boys, and he suggested that I might consider a call to ministry. And I thought, no, I don't think so. And while I was in seminary, my first year, he wanted me to go to Emmaus. And I know, are you familiar with the Emmaus walk?
Yes. Yes.
4-day Christian ministry. And while I
Yes.
was on that walk, the Lord spoke to me in a very mighty way.
Wow.
And to make a long story short, I went back, and I didn't tell anybody for a while. That was in the spring of 95, I believe it was. And in the summer of 95, my mother collapsed and went into a coma, and I was at her bedside when the Lord clearly spoke to me again.
Wow.
And after she passed, I went back to school in that fall, and I changed my degree program. Well, I added my degree program because I have both degrees now.
Wow.
And I've been in active ministry ever since.
Wow. Wow.
in the United Methodist Church. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, so sometimes
It
it
is.
just sometimes it seems like we want God to take the other end of a chalk line and go out there and show us where we need to go, and then we can just snap a nice line and go, okay, this is the way, this is my path.
Yeah.
But it sounds
No.
like it doesn't always happen that way.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm in many ways grateful for that
Mhm.
in my life, because like I said, I tend to run. I said, oh no, Lord, surely you're not that. And I remember, those were two occasions where I clearly heard the voice of God in my
Yes.
spirit and speaking to me. And the first time when I was at that Emmaus, I was at the altar rail praying, and I cried and I cried and I pleaded,
Yeah.
no, I'm doing enough. Surely you're not calling me to do that.
Yes. Yes.
It sounds
Yeah,
almost like you
so-
needed to unplug from what was
yeah.
going on in your life and really give some alone time. Just give yourself a chance just to be in a place where you could hear without all the buzz and without all the distractions.
Yeah.
And I have found in my journey, in my faith walk, that it's on those alone, or in those alone moments. And that's why my devotional life is so important to me. And when I get away from it, because there are times when, I'm drawn away from it for a while, and then I always have to go back, that the Lord speaks most clearly to me.
Yes.
And so I've in the last probably, I don't know, I guess I 5 or 6 years, maybe more, I've begun to keep journals so that I can record when the Lord is speaking to me and what he's saying to me. And it's always nice to go back and reread some of those things, because I said, okay, Lord, I'm on track, or, oh, I'm not on track.
Yes.
I need to be back in thy will.
I know that it's so interesting that you're talking about like God revealing in you're a runner, so of course it's interesting. A lot of times God works in faith one day at a time. Is like you may not, the biggest faith walk is not knowing where you're going.
Well,
more so than knowing the destination and figuring out how to get there. It's just really one day at a time, and God, am I
that's
supposed
right.
to be here?
That is absolutely right.
And sometimes not second guessing that. I found myself a lot of times in situations like, okay, I've done this, and okay, is that part of my life is over? Or are you really going to energize that and move forward with it? But what are some of the things that, because of your, that God has allowed you to use and strengthen your walk as a minister, that you have learned maybe even from the corporate world?
Well, one of the things that I have probably taken from the corporate world at the time, General Motors, they were instituting this quality of work life promotion in the company, and one of the things that I hadn't thought about this in a long time. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I think I have taken from my corporate life is that it is not always, what we found, money was not always the motivator. That there were other things that people needed in their work life to be happy and productive.
Yes.
And so one of the things I try to because one of my passions is discipleship,
Yes.
to help people understand it's not always about our cultural motivation, so to speak,
Yeah.
to go out there and get a good job and do this and do that and buy the house and have, take the great vacations and all those kinds of things. That's nice in many ways, but the icing is on the cake. Icing on the cake is when you can live your daily life with peace and happiness.
Yes. Yes.
And those things are not possessions are not things that can give that.
Yeah.
Those things come from the Lord and living in the Lord's way.
Yeah. I
And
know.
so we have.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say we have to begin to, as disciples of Jesus, begin to really understand that Jesus meant when he came to turn the world upside down.
Yes.
That his ways are not the ways of the world, but they give the world to you
Yeah.
in lasting and enduring ways.
Yeah. I know, like, as far as being in the workplace and history and all that now, as my own boss, so to speak, I guess, as a boss, as a person who works with clients who actually essentially are 30 bosses, is how much it's appreciative to have someone who speaks life into you, as even if, I mean, people want to know that they're valued. They see you.
That's right.
They see, and whether you're a Christian or not a person of faith, people want to have life spoken into them. They want to know they're doing a good job, that they're making a difference. They want to know that you see them more as a person who comes in and clocks in during the day, and you're a warm body who takes up a space. They don't want to feel disposable. And I think that really makes people know, we treat people like that we hope we do in the church, that they're not disposable, that you're valuable. We want you, person, we want you to feel. But, the importance of speaking life into people wherever you go, such an important thing that we should all be taking care, as people who, lift up our coworkers, lift up the people who we lead, such an important thing. So
It is.
Yeah. Tom, do you have any things that you would like?
Well, Pastor, tell us a little bit about your the church that you're in. I've had the privilege of just a few years ago ministering there with you in your church there in Tiffin. Tell us a little bit about your community and about the church.
Well, my current setting, of course, I don't know if Tom shared with you, I'm United Methodist, and so we have a different way of getting to churches. We are under appointment by the bishop.
Yes.
And so the bishop, it's different. We have an appointment process versus a call process.
Yes.
And so my calling, as it turns out, has been to pastor churches that have had some conflict, some struggles. And so I was appointed to this church in Tiffin, Ohio. I was really excited about the appointment because there are two colleges in Tiffin. Tiffin is a very small community. It's a farming community, but it has two major colleges, Heidelberg University, which has a UCC background, and then Tiffin University. I call them one, when I think about it, I said one is old money and one is new money. And Heidelberg was the big school at one time, but now Tiffin University is really growing, and I would suspect that their student population may outnumber Heidelberg within the next year or two. But it is not a college town.
Yes.
It's still very rural, and there are a lot of cornfields. That's what I say, and it's not physically located near a large metropolitan area.
Yeah.
So it's a somewhat conservative community, and the church is the same. Now, my church is currently, our name is, we're Faith United Methodist Church, and it's a wonderful church, but they have experienced some conflict over the years. So the first thing that I did when I went there was just worked on some relationship building. Again, helping people to know the love of God always, and that their value really comes from the Lord and how much the Lord loves them, and then helping them to learn to love one another and love the community in ways of ministry.
Yeah.
So we are an older congregation right now, And we do a lot of. We have a history of what we call what we now call transactional ministry. We support a lot of other ministries, small ministries in the church, in the community, and so now we are beginning to move beyond just collecting, but actually ministering to people, and we have developed a relationship with a fairly new ministry in the community called Overflow. These two universities were, they didn't work together very well. And so they didn't, the students didn't know each other very well either. And so Overflow Ministry was was born out of one of the local churches, who really had a heart for ministering to the students.
Yeah.
And so they hired someone and to develop ministry to students on both campuses. And now Overflow has a building right downtown, and they have a wonderful ministry. So we have become a partner church with them, and we try to support them financially, and then we go down several times. They have a student-led worship on Saturday evening. That's, where they worship, and then they have a meal together. And so we participate in that and in other ways. So that's one of the things that we're doing now. This past summer, we had 3 outreach ministries where we had we got some praise bands. We don't have a praise band at our church, but we partner with other praise bands to come and be outside on the lawn and fellowship. We had food and fellowship and great praise music, and that was a wonderful opportunity to invite the community in and be part of that. So we're starting to do more things like that. We partnered recently with an organization called Revive, and it's in the state of Ohio. It's Revive Ohio, which comes in and does a week-long of evangelism tour, where they actually go out in the community in teams, and we talk to people, and people are and this was so exciting and had so well received. There were probably almost 100 people who gave their lives to Christ. The ministry was supposed to be for a week, but it was extended 3 days. It extended 3 days, and we partnered with another Methodist church to do to lunch one day, and to do with another local church in the community to do lunch on another day, because we feed about 100 people. And I had the privilege of being on one of the teams of going out to meet people and talk to people and pray with people, and there was they have a wonderful truck that's glass on 3 sides that has a baptismal in it, and so people are able to even get baptized, and it was just a wonderful time.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you, Reverend Marilyn, for being with us today.
Yes, thank you, Pastor Marilyn.
I really appreciate you calling in, and we'll put up the details about the church in the comment section below. Actually, it was on the thing, but we'll put another link. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, I thank you for the privilege of, thank you for asking. Tom and his wife and JR, they have become very, very dear friends.
Oh,
and,
yes.
When they came through last, that was Thanksgiving time. And the Lord, Tom and I were having a conversation, and the Lord spoke to me, and next thing you know, Tom has given the message, and it was so well received. Well, and that's how the Lord moves.
He does.
Yep.
He does. He really does.
Yes, he does.
That is.
So thank you for the
Thank
privilege.
you.
It was a wonderful, it has made my day, and it will be one of the things I will remember always about Pastor's Appreciation Month. My church does, we're going to have some receptions after the 2 worship services on Sunday for Pastor's Appreciation Month.
That's awesome.
And that was new for me, and that's, we're learning to appreciate one another, and it's a privilege to serve that church.
It is. It is.
It is.
Well, thank you so
much.
much. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. God bless.
God bless. Well, it is, a lot of times of how a church is impacting their community is really about bringing people together that weren't working together.
Absolutely, and it's not a huge church,
Yes.
but the church itself and under the leadership of Pastor Marilyn, realizing that church is beyond the four walls.
Yeah.
It's the community.
And then you and JR and what you guys do in ministry is going into some of these churches and where they couldn't afford a speaker, you going in there and blessing them with ministry, and that's a really exciting thing to be able to work together in the community and beyond your own city or your church walls. That's really exciting.
And JR and I have our own, and my wife, we attend Nixa First Assembly, but we are available to come into a church, maybe where a pastor just needs a breather.
Yes, exactly.
We have been in churches where the pastor has not sat with his wife in church for years.
Wow.
And since God has provided for us, we have retirement income, Social Security. God has provided a way where we can go in and not ask anything except to be able to serve.
Yeah.
And that just is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a blessing for them. It's a blessing for us to be able to come in and
So
come
true.
alongside some of our worn out pastors.
Yeah, it is true, and we need to, one of the most greatest gifts we can give our pastor is a day off or a hot meal.
Just a chance sometimes to sit with their family.
Yeah, exactly.
In church, which some of these men and women have not done that for years.
Yeah, so true. Well, tell us a quick natural solution, and we'll.
Yeah, because we have a special studio guest.
Studio guest. We need to.
Well, we're going to talk about forskolin extract, which will help you suppress your appetite and boost your metabolism. It's an extra strength weight loss pill. You can control your carb and sugar urges and re-energize yourself with this premium herbal antioxidant product. So forskolin extract helps decrease stored body fat. We could all use that. Helps suppress appetite and cravings. Promotes increased metabolism, supports building of lean muscle mass, and will not cause jitters, nausea, or headaches. And you can get forskolin extract at www.naturalsolutionstore.bz.
So it's exciting to talk. Saffron is
Who is this gorgeous studio guest?
Studio guest, coming in from Wheaton College, her first quarter, her first quad. But tell us, because Pastor Marilyn was talking about, getting the students to work together. What are the things that you about your college town? What are some of the things that you love about the churches in your community?
I really just love how a lot of the churches really just come in and support the students. Like, I think the first week that we were there was like this huge church fair with a lot of churches that came in, various denominations, different parts of the community, and they came in and they were welcoming with like open arms, and I just felt that I went to maybe, let me see, like 3 or 4 different churches throughout like the first month that I was there. And like, even though they were like so different, they really just had a heart for welcoming in students and showing hospitality. They provided shuttles for us, like, so that we could go to where because a lot of students, like freshmen, don't have cars, so it's really hard for them to get to a church where they really feel like they belong.
Yeah.
Because they're sort of limited to the walking area.
What as far as like some of the things that what are some of the things that you love about your Wheaton College community?
I really love how we are just like, everyone is always willing to have an open door, and like if you need food or something, like if you miss your dinner. Like I missed
Yeah.
dinner last week, and one of the girls on my floor gave me a little singles pot of mac and cheese.
And it really is
yeah.
people working together, isn't it?
Yeah.
And-
And I know like a lot of people have said like they're RAs at like other colleges, like they aren't like as involved in like the student's life like on their floor, but it's really great because like our RA was like praying for us before they even knew who we were. Like they got a list of names and they like started praying for us, and they like I think every Wednesday and Friday our RA invites us all in for like hot drinks that she makes, and we sit around and take time to rest, and she'll give us snacks and make smoothies for us, and we'll watch movies, and it's really great to know like that you have someone who is caring for you and praying for you, even like when you feel like you barely like know them to begin with.
Yeah.
Tell us what an RA is, because some
Oh,
of the
sorry.
folks out there may not know what that term is.
A RA is a resident, short for resident assistant, which means they're like a paid person who lives on the floor.
Mhm.
Basically, make sure you're like following all the rules and not using like nails on the walls and, or like leaving so much trash in the hallways. They basically make sure that there's like order. But at Wheaton, they do a lot more than that. They will pray for you. They will like welcome you into their rooms, and I
Making
love
sure
my-
that Clean the Earth Day starts
Yeah,
in your
Clean
dorm
the
room.
Earth Day starts
Yeah.
in your dorm room. Safi, I know that some people don't know a lot about Wheaton. I think it has a really rich history, and that was actually started back in the 1860s by the underground. wasn't it?
the abolitionists.
By the abolitionists, and it was once a site where the Underground Railroads. Tell us a little bit about the history.
I'm not very familiar with history, but I will try my best. So, Wheaton was founded by basically Christian abolitionists, and it has a very rich history. They've expanded it throughout the years, but it started with Blanchard Hall, which was named after one of like the famous abolitionists. And it's amazing, an amazing school. Actually, Billy Graham attended Wheaton College.
Yes, he has a big building there and a museum.
Yeah, there's a really cool museum that they have on campus that sort of like dedicated to like the life of Billy Graham and evangelism, and it's really awesome. You can go there and see C.S. Lewis's writing desk that he had when he was a child, and they
Wow.
have Tolkien's writing desk there as well. A lot of students on campus are like fanatics when it comes to C.S. Lewis or Tolkien,
Yes.
and we're
Yeah.
like it's weird. Like I've only read like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but like there are some like huge like C.S. Lewis fanatics, and they like read all the books and know all these quotes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're so intelligent.
Well, I've got a question. Of all the places that you could have gone,
Yeah.
I mean, you're brilliant. Your high school career was wonderful. What made you drawn to Wheaton? Of all the places that you could have gone, what made you want to go there?
There were probably like several different reasons. I remember when I went to chapel when I was touring at Wheaton, and it was just a really beautiful worship service, and I loved it, and I felt really like I felt the presence of God, and it was just such an amazing feeling, and it felt like home almost. And I really loved it. I loved the community there and how they like really just like no matter like the vocation, because a lot of people don't go into like, because Wheaton being like a Christian liberal arts college, like a lot of people like they aren't going into ministry necessarily, but they want to express their faith through their vocation, and that's a really important thing that we like talk about a lot, like especially in our first year seminar class. We're talking about how does our like vocation, how is our vocation defined by our faith, whether it be like pre-med or law or education, sort of bringing that into.
And what is your field of, now it may change,
your
but
major?
what did you get started into?
I am currently doing elementary education with special education endorsements. That may end up changing. I really love elementary ed and French education, but I know like I feel very called towards education and working with kids, just because of like the experiences that I've had in the past. And so there's a great education program there. They do for our practicum for education students. We're getting ready to start cross-cultural tutoring, which is a requirement for all education students, and I get to go into a ministry in Chicago that's an after-school club for kids that's called By the Hand, and it's completely free, and they get to in areas where they're low income and you're affected by they're affected by gang violence. They like provide them with meals and computer training and just providing them with a safe place to be, so
That's
that they
exciting.
can.
We're very proud of you, Saf.
Yeah, very,
Thank you.
very exciting. So, and she gets to bring back Mom some Chicago popcorn and Chicago pizza on a regular basis. That's really always good, always a good thing. And going back tomorrow, so we're going to make the most of today and tomorrow, and and I just love the Wheaton community. I love, and I knew that even though it was a walk of faith, sending Saf there, God has provided. God has provided, and thank you, God, for providing every step of the way. Because
God's will, God's bill.
and it is. It's a big walk of faith every day, but God is so good. And we're just out of time.
Well, hey, real quick, I just want to mention that this time next week we'll be in the middle of our telethon. So we'll be checking in starting on Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening, Monday and Tuesday, so we can raise money so Acts Ministry can continue doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing. Well, thank you guys for being with us. And until next time, this is Amber
And this is Tom.
saying step into the sunshine and find something to celebrate today. Take care.
But you have got it made.